Let's go!
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Co-op Podcast. I'm Greg,
And I'm Ryan.
and Ryan has a new mic. For those of you who are listening, you can easily tell that his voice is not like crackling or anything like that when he gets to the high range or something, whatever. So he finally got a new mic, and so the quality is just skyrocketing at it's insane. Um, Episode 4, we're gonna be talking about generation of gamers. And this was something we were actually supposed to talk about the greatest games that we've ever played with our friend Troy, but that fell through. I was pretty excited, but then
We'll probably still do it. It's just tough to get all three of us on the same schedule, considering we all live in three different places on three different schedules.
two different
And
time zones.
two different time zones. It's my senior year, so I'm trying to live it up. It's Troy's first year away from home, so he's living it up. You have a job, so you're trying to, live it up in a different sense. But
Yeah, I'm trying to live it up and buy a house. Ooh, baby. I'm wild. Let me tell you, my late nights consist of watching Fear the Walking Dead, best show, way better than the regular Walking Dead, and playing video games until 9:45. Then I go to bed because that's my bedtime. But so generation of gamers. I mean, this is I don't even know if Ryan's gonna be able to really talk a lot. I mean, he will, but it's like for me, this one really stuck out to me when a lot of my coworkers and even I know some people. I don't know if you've heard this, Ryan, because I mean you're in college, so everyone around you is drinking and doing crazy things. They're not thinking about the future. But like a lot of people that I know that have kids right now, they don't want their kids, or they don't want the people who are going to be having kids, meaning that they're pregnant or thinking about starting a family or already have a kid. They're already saying like, yeah, my kid's not going to be able to play video games. I'm not allowing it. What do you think about that?
I think it depends on a couple of different things because video games can actually be good. Like for example, when I was growing up, I didn't necessarily play shooters right away. I mean, I ended up playing them, but like I played Zelda and Pokemon on the Game Boy, and my parents would make me read because like in Zelda and especially Pokemon, it's very self-explanatory for someone our age to figure it out because they tell you exactly where to go.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're growing up and you're 5 or however old I was probably, I would imagine, 5 through 8, somewhere in that range, and you don't read, you have no idea what's going on in that game. You don't know
Yeah.
what to do, what to grab, where to go. And my parents I would beg them to read it for me and like help me. Like, I had to have been younger than that because at 5, I probably knew how to read, but maybe not that well. I don't know what
Yeah.
the appropriate age is. I'm not dumb. I'm not trying to make it sound like I couldn't read.
Yeah.
But
No,
basically, what
you're
my
pretty
point is
stupid.
that those games taught me how to read, and not only read, but read in detail to problem solve
Yeah.
at an early age.
Yeah, and that's something that it's like, dude, think about what kids are playing nowadays compared to what we were. And
Oh, I mean, just
we
look at Fortnite compared to Zelda. Because in Zelda, you
oh
have to go
dude,
through dungeons and problem solve, and even the
puzzles.
boss fights were puzzles themselves because you could only defeat certain monsters certain ways. And then you
Mm-hmm.
get on Fortnite and beat down bushes and
Logs
camp.
and yeah. So it to me it kind of stood out when I heard like because all my coworkers know like I'm a huge gamer. I even have it on my resume of the gaming experience I have, mainly because it's experience, right? Um, and I was talking to them, or just not them. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like when someone says my kid's not gonna play video games, I'm not allowing. It's like, are you that closed minded? Like, do you want them to just read or something? Like it's not like gaming is gonna make them a terrible human being. It's and the first thing people do is with these horrific events that I'm not gonna name because it's not worth it. They immediately go violent video games, and if you guys can connect the dots, then okay. But I'm not gonna say it on the podcast, but because they don't deserve the credit. But the thing is, they say violent video games causes us to be violent. It's like no, it causes us to get stressed.
Or what's even funnier is it's the argument now that I've heard is, and this isn't as popular of an argument, but it's not even just violent video games. It's just how violent people get playing video games. So like you'll
Yeah.
see people reacting playing like FIFA and like throwing controllers,
Yeah, that's
or
something
they're
crazy.
playing like God of War on the hardest difficulty and they're getting pissed off and like banging on their desk. And so now the argument is not it's not that it's not violent video games. It's just the fact that you get violent playing video games, which is dumb because you can say that about anything. Have you ever seen someone throw a tantrum during a sporting event?
Yeah. It's
Like,
like Bryce Harper getting pissed. Meh, meh,
or
meh.
who was that? Who was that pitcher that just beat the crap out of that Gatorade? Or was it maybe it was a batter? He
No,
struck
no,
out and
oh,
came in the dugout, was
Gomez
like
was it
punching
Tampa
the
Bay Rays?
hell
Yeah,
out
like,
of
and
it.
then the next day he like is cuddling with it. But I mean, yeah, it's in every sport or in everything you do. There's gonna be that people that it's gonna make them angry because it's just frustrating, right? Like when you read a
Right.
book, obviously you're not gonna like throw the book at the wall and, man, screw this book. I'm never reading the series again. They don't know how
I've
to
heard
write a book.
people
But
that do that though. Like they get so invested in the story, and like when one of their characters dies, they freak out.
and honestly that's kind of hilarious. Um, but I mean, I freak out when something happens in the game. Like I go, "Why is he there?" You know, like I'll yell.
Right.
Like I'll even like one time I like got so mad, I like punched. I didn't punch, but I like hit my fist on my desk really hard because I was very frustrated, and I wasn't frustrated at anybody else but myself, right?
Right. And I
And
think it's more like of a competitive nature than it
yeah,
is.
I feel like if you were to get like I don't know,
Because
Troy
I
or my
was that way
sister
in
to play,
soccer.
they'll just go, "Oh man, that's okay. He killed me next time," you know.
Right.
But it's like me, it's like I hate losing. You hate losing.
Right.
You're a competitor. Your first instinct is gonna be like when you strike out, you get pissed, right? You
Right.
so or when you let a goal in, you get pissed and you kind of like bang the post with your fist.
Right.
But it's it's just human nature, and I feel like I have a few articles I looked up and they said that it can create psychological stress, and that's so true. Like in what situation or in what game, like Ryan, when you're playing and it could be a battle royale game, it could be a boss fight, or a 1v1 situation in Call of Duty or CS:GO or anything like that, and you have to win, right? You're gonna get stressed, your palms are gonna get sweaty, your heart's gonna pound,
Right.
and so
I think
that's
that's like a good stress though. Everyone, and I don't know if that's even a thing or something that people talk about, but whenever you hear the word stress, I think everyone automatically denotes it as negative. Like it's a bad thing to be stressed. But I think
yeah,
like the pressure of doing something good is almost like a good type of stress because the reward and the like the feeling you get after you beat something difficult or you overcome something difficult is you can't compare it to anything else. It feels great beating that boss or winning that battle royale or winning that 1v1 in COD.
yeah. And
And
then you kind of
you,
get accustomed to it after a while. It just
right,
kind of
yeah, yeah. And then you have to find harder situations. Like I remember back when I was growing up and COD 4 was the only Call of Duty out, and when I did Mile High Club on Veteran to get that final achievement, that made me nervous. And then when MWR came out, it was just a matter of doing it. I was not nearly as nervous. But then like you start playing another good example is like playing game battles, playing for XP. I used to get nervous about that, and then eventually got over
yeah.
that. And then it was
Same here.
wagers and then tournaments. So like you have to find like that next step. And it's like you can almost relate video games to more positive experiences than you can negative because that's just how life works. Like in high school, I used to get nervous all the time just being around people, and then you get over that, and then you get nervous for tests, and you get over that, and then the next step's college, and it's the same thing. You get nervous for your first college exam, and then you're
Hmm.
like, oh, like I got this, like it,
I
and
wish I
it's
had
the
that
same.
experience. I was like, oh yeah, I got this, and then I failed.
And then you don't got this.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you mean. It's like Ninja was talking about, in a 1v1 situation, you you know, if you hide, you're obviously probably your chances of winning are slim. And if you just play the way you usually play, you have a better chance of winning. And I think that the more you play and just the better you get at something, the more comfortable you're gonna get in that situation. You've done it 1,000 times. Like that's literally the right saying. It's like a professional athlete has been in this situation in practice 1,000 times. They just have to repeat everything they do. And so, I mean, for me, it does create stress still, just because it's like there's still something there that could happen, like an
Yeah.
error or just like pressing the wrong button or timing it wrong. But in the end, I feel like it's just the stress outweighs, or the the pleasure outweighs the stress, I should say.
Well, and also on the topic of stress, it's like you're if you're young, do you even understand that kind of stress, or is it more of just like because when like now you have Fortnite, which is a little different because it's battle royale, but like when we were growing up, the game to play for younger kids was kind of Minecraft, and like, could you
Or
really?
Pokemon, man. It's like
I mean, yeah, even
within the
Pokemon.
last like 6 years, the whole games of like what you grow up on has changed dramatically. Like my generation, I was born in '94. Um, we were raised on like GoldenEye. If you had, what is that, N64?
Yeah, I think so.
So GoldenEye, and then like, but before that, it was like Pokemon Green or Blue or Red. Then Leaf Green was Blue and Red for Game Boy Advance. But
Right.
you had Pokemon, right? Or
And
Zelda on the.
it's like not even how the games have changed, but I guess my point was like if you're say you're 8 and you're sitting there playing Fortnite, do you even understand? Is your brain even capable of understanding the stress?
I don't
And
think so.
that's what I mean. It's like I feel like until you hit like the teens and you understand winning and losing a little bit better, especially with how people are being raised nowadays, it's like
Hmm.
I don't think kids really understand the whole aspect of winning and losing. Because I get in a lot of arguments with people about how Fortnite isn't competitive and it's not stimulating because there's the challenges that they add in the game aren't hard. And
Hmm.
I've argued, I'm like, I want challenges based around wins. And then
Hmm.
my friends are like, well, a large percentage of players can't achieve those challenges because they can't win a game.
Hmm.
And so it's like if they can't win or they're not really trying to win, they're just playing the game for fun. Is it really stressful? Even though it's way different for someone like me and you.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
just interesting separating like the way we were raised and the way we view because it's like it's almost hard for me to enjoy video games now because it's really hard for me to sit down and play a video game and be like, oh, I'm just gonna play it because playing it for me means beating it as fast as possible,
hmm
or if it's multiplayer, that means being as good as I possibly can with the amount of time. Because, like, obviously, if I dropped out and played it nonstop, I could be better than I am now, but that's not realistic. But it's like I have to beat it as fast as possible, be better than as many people as possible. But like a large amount of people on this planet don't view it that way. They're just like,
yeah,
oh, it's fun. And
yeah,
to me, I'm like, what's that even mean? Like fun for me is just being as good as humanly possible. And then I'm like, oh, this is fun.
yeah. And for me, I'm the same way. I've actually like, it's just, I guess it might be that time where you're kind of like, well, what is there to do? In between like the summer games being released and the fall games that are like the blockbuster ones. Like I got on my PS4 today, and I kind of just stared at it and I was like, I don't really want to play anything. Like,
Right.
and I don't
That's
know if
where I'm at
I
right
don't know
now
if it's
too.
because I'm getting older, but like it's also because I don't have that many games to choose from right now that are like really
Right.
fun to play. Um, but I probably could go out and buy a game,
There
but I want to play games with my friends. I don't want to sit here by myself. I'm already at work 8 hours a day. I want to interact with my friends.
I was gonna say there's a couple of different problems there that we could get into. It's like the market in general is kind of on a downward slope right now because like a lot of companies are shying away from single player games because people complain that like it's not worth $60 to play a game that I'm gonna beat in a week,
Hmm.
if that. So then like companies shy away from that. And then there are single player games that are amazing, like God of War, and I've heard Spider Man is phenomenal. And it's
Oh yeah,
and even like I'm the same way. I got yesterday when the beta closed, I didn't touch my PlayStation, which is weird for me. I at least play like I would say a couple hours every day.
yeah. I mean that's the thing. Like we
Because
were so hyped about it, and
there's just nothing now.
yeah,
It's like
b- and the beta we're talking about is the Blackout beta, the Battle Royale for Call of Duty. So, and it was really good. I enjoyed it, but that's for another podcast. Um, but so kind of go back on topic about the generation of gamers. When I hear someone say like I don't want my kid to play video games or something like that, I kind of think to myself, all right, what are they gonna do? You know, are they gonna join the Boy Scouts? Are they gonna join the Girl Scouts? Are they gonna read a book? Are they gonna take up knitting at 5 years old? Are they gonna, you know, do algebra and only focus on school and have no social life based off that? Are they? I mean, that's not. I'm not saying that they're not gonna have a social life that they don't if they do algebra or something. But I mean, like when they say there's no future in gaming, it's just a waste of time. It's like look how many people are making money off of gaming, and they're not even pros. They're just comedians, or they're just people who play games and people like talking to them. They have good personalities. I guess you can call them like an entertainer because they have a personality and they entertain people. And what is there to do if you like reading books? There is an editor. There is a writer. There might be like a journalist. But how many people do you know that go into journalism or go into writing or editing or being a illustrator that actually make a really good living? And but you could say the same thing. How many people do you know that have made a lot of good money off of video games and play and get paid? I
I
know a lot.
think,
I know a lot more than writers. That's for damn sure.
yeah, I think it just depends on like, it just depends on how you're trying to swing it too. Like, I've
You're
made
obviously
money on.
you're obviously going to be finding the key things of your statement and not theirs. I guess you could say.
Right. The other thing too is it's like no one. I think like no one's gonna. It's a hobby. I think a lot of people view it as a hobby, and there's not many people that would just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a professional video game player." Like
Yeah, you kind of just fall into
that
it.
is about the equivalent nowadays of saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna be an actor in
Hmm.
LA," or "I'm gonna be," and it's not impossible, and I'm not squashing dreams, but it's like swinging it that way to your parents is a lot less likely than being like, "Oh, I made $20 this month playing wagers on Fortnite," or "I made $20 this month streaming." Like
Hmm.
it's a hobby, and it's, if you can find a happy balance, I think that's the problem, and that's the problem with this generation is they don't know how to balance things. It's like you get these kids, and it's all they want to do. They just want to sit here and do nothing except play video games. It's like that. It's just not gonna fly. That's not how life works. You know,
Yeah.
you go like, even if you love reading, you're not gonna sit there and read for 16 hours a day.
Oh,
Your eyes would
there
bleed
there
out of your skull. Like you
there
need
are
a
people
break.
that will finish an entire book in one sitting.
No, and like that's fine, but like it's like, you have to have a balance between like a hobby and school and work and
Yeah.
social life. Like you can't shut out the world and do nothing else. It's not healthy.
I think it would just
It's
be lack of parenting at that point. Like,
well, and see, but it's like, so between the lack of parenting and then the over parenting, and dude, this is just another problem with like society and people in general. It's like we're on the polar ends of the spectrum, and it's like there's no one in the middle. There's not, and there probably people there are, but it's like you won't see it because that's just how the media is. It's like you see all these
mhm.
kids that are insane and like cuss out their parents and like play it until they piss themselves because they don't want to get up. And then you get the weirdos whose parents are like, "You're never touching a PlayStation ever," and that's not good either. Have you ever met a kid and told them not to do something? What do you think the first thing they're gonna want to do is?
The thing that you're telling them not to do.
Yeah,
It's like when you have someone go to a private school. Like the private school kids are like the ones that really get into trouble because they're told not to do anything.
right. It's like,
Whereas the public kids schools do it in moderation so they don't get in trouble
oh
and they
god,
don't go.
the differences between the way that I was like we were raised and now is just crazy. Because now it's like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. It's bad, like this and that. It's like, dude, just let people experience it for themselves.
Yeah.
Because like, there's probably a large amount of people that would play video games and would play it a normal amount. They'd
Hmm.
just be like, yeah, whatever. This is what it is, and
Oh yeah.
and it's like that with everything. Like I remember when I was growing up, my parents didn't care if I drank because they knew. I guess they
Whoa.
didn't know
That's so
100%.
weird. I would no. That's not happening in my house. Sorry.
No, but it's like they wanted me to be responsible and they knew that I would be responsible and they'd rather me do that than hide it from them and then hurt myself, hurt others, or get myself in trouble.
Yeah. So if anyone's listening and you are a cop, do not. I hope you ignore that last or just totally didn't hear it. So, but but yeah,
But
I
it's
totally
like
get what
that
you
with
mean.
everything though.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, for me, like my dad, my parents hated that I played, right? But it was something that I literally grew up on it. My parents got like a SNES, right? And I played this baseball game. I forget what it was called. I've literally looked up like SNES games for like baseball and to see like which one was it that I played because I can't remember. And they got it from GameStop, right? So the 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 logo of the game was like rubbed off. So it's like I don't even know what it looked like. And so I'm looking but my parents were always like, "You're playing too much. Get off." I'm like, "All right, fine, guys. I gotta go." And I'm
but
I'm
it's like what
pissed. I'm
else are you
heated.
like what else do they want you to do?
They probably just want me to go outside, but it's like my entire childhood and even into high school, like until I graduated high school, almost every single day of my life between the age of 5 and 18, I was playing a sport. Probably 90% of my life, like, or 90% of the year. The 10% of the year is like the last month of July going into August, and so I get all of August. I get 4 weeks off. So pretty much because school starts, late August.
Right.
So I got 4 weeks off. And so it's like the when the downtime that I did have, I wanted to play video games. And my parents were like, "You're playing too much." But it's like, in between, playing
You're
playing
playing too much, even though you played 3 sports, do well in high school. And
yeah, exactly.
what's
Yeah,
funny for
exactly.
you is it was probably even worse for you because here in Ohio, we didn't have that luxury of playing sports that long because
Yeah,
eventually
cuz
it got
the
cold.
weather, yeah.
So it's like always nice in California. So like I doubt like I remember there was days where like our baseball games would get rained out or like it'd be too cold. And like naturally, me and all my friends would that's when we would hop on and play. But for you,
Yeah.
probably never you never had a single baseball game rained out.
Oh, I had baseball games rained out. Of course, I did. I lived in Sacramento, so my weather. I got the 3 seasons. I just didn't get, or I got every season except the snowy season. But I mean, it's not even like that's not a season. But I got every weather. I
Right.
got the very hot summers, but I got the very cold winters, and I got fall. But it's like I had the downtime in between like with that, but then once my parents saw that I was actually doing really well with gaming in high school when I started competing, because I got an Xbox 360 my going into freshman year of high school. Before then, I had like a Wii, right, and I was playing Super Mario Strikers Charged, and I was so good at that game. But besides the point, I got into competitive gaming right when I got my 360 because all my friends were like, "Get it on it. We'll get a Game Balance team going on World at War, Call of Duty World at War." So I got that in Halo 3, and competed. And obviously, I sucked, right? No matter where you start, you're always gonna suck at something, and then you're gonna get better. And then, you know, I loved it. I wanted to get better. I wanted to get better, and I was still doing sports. I was still being active. Had I was very much in shape. I had a 6 pack. I was working out a lot, but I would always play. My parents would get so pissed, like you're playing too much. Then they saw that I got really good at it, and my dad, they saw me winning money. I was going to
You know,
tournaments and winning money.
you know what's ironic though is it's like if so say you substitute video games with any of the sports you played, they would not have told you that you're playing it too much. That's the funny part to me.
Well,
Or
yeah.
like say your parents saw you studying as much as you were playing video games, they would have been like, "Greg, you're studying too
Oh,
much."
dude, it's
They
so funny.
would have been completely fine with it.
Dude,
It's
it's
just
so funny that you say that.
because well, it's the truth though.
Well, no, I know because it's funny because I would get like a B minus on the exam or test in high school, and my mom's like, if you spent more time studying than you did playing video games, then you wouldn't have gotten a B. You would have gotten an A. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to study that much, mom. Like,
Right.
sorry, I don't want to sit on my butt and just look at a book for nine
I got
hours.
into a huge argument with my parents about that actually when I came to college because originally when I came to Ohio State,
You're on a
uh,
scholarship.
oh, I still am, but it's like I wanted to be an engineer, and I took
Ugh.
chem, calc. I took a classics class and then like some other G's. I got a D in calc and a C in chem, And partially because it was hard, partially because it was a weed out course, partially because I didn't apply myself. So my parents were like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" And I was like, "I'm probably just gonna change my major." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I mean, I could be good at calc if I wanted to,
We're good at
but
anything.
yeah, I mean, and this applies to anything. This applies to singing. It applies to video games. It applies to painting. It just takes practice, and it's the same way with school. But it's like exactly what you just said. It's like, yeah, I could be good at calc, but I don't want to sit there with my nose in a book for 6 hours every single day.
Yeah.
Or if
Enjoy
I'm
it.
gonna be there with a book, with my nose in a book 6 hours a day, I want it to be something that I think is interesting. And I parents didn't, well, my dad kind of did because my dad's philosophy has always been do what you want, you're your own person. But my mom didn't directly say it to me, but I could tell that she was like, I don't like the fact that you're picking classics over something that's going to guarantee you a job, which is a fair concern. Like right now, I'm about to graduate and I'm not going to be employed right away, which I think is fine. I'm trying not to freak too much out, like
Let's
freak
just start looking
out
for
too much.
jobs, but I'll tell you about that later.
Right. But it's like, well, I'm going to do what I enjoy. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's like if you sit here and tell this kid not to play video games or not to do this or not to do that, but they in the end they enjoy it and that's who they are, then you're just gonna tear your relationship apart with them. They're gonna blame you for not getting to it sooner, and you could be stopping something great, especially now this day and age. That's something like for us to convince our parents to play video games all the time versus now is light years apart
Yeah, I think
because
it would be easier now, obviously, but
oh, easily, especially with all the resources and everything. Like back then, if you were making YouTube videos, it was probably just to impress your friends. It wasn't to be a YouTuber. And back then, it's like if you streamed, you were a super nerd and probably got picked on, to be
mm-hmm.
quite honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
You probably got bullied. But now it's like people find out that I stream and I still get embarrassed about it and I shouldn't, but people are like, "Oh, that's sweet." That would have never happened if I started streaming like before it was a thing.
Yeah. So my parents, like, once they saw me winning money and stuff, my dad would, instead of coming in and saying, "Hey, get off, I need help with the yard," he would realize, "Hey, I can take a break from yard work if Greg can't help me," and he'd go, "Hey, are you competing?" That's the first thing he'd say. "Are you
Right.
competing?" And if I said no, he's like, "All right, I need some help." If I said yes, he said, "All right, this is your last match or tournament, whatever. Whenever you're done, come help me with the yard. I'll be in the family room getting some Gatorade or something, and he's just gonna watch some show." But it's just like the minute your parents see you succeeding at something and actually doing something well with it, they're
Right.
probably gonna support you. And it didn't kill my dad, but it probably my dad is not into games. One, he gets super like motion sickness. Like he can't play racing games because he has to feel like he's actually in control of the car. He can't play shooter games because he has to feel like he has to be like actually moving in that area. Um and so he's into woodworking and like a lot of like home improvement stuff, and I didn't pick any of that up at all whatsoever. I was a nerd, played video games, tech stuff. And even then, like my dad's just super good at everything he does except video games, and so so it's like I don't know. But yeah, so hold
What's
on, you
funny
go
is
ahead.
I was gonna say what's funny is my dad is the opposite. He's not a super geek or he's a super geek, but he's not a super gamer. Like he was always into Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. He played some video games. Like I remember when the PS3 first came out, he bought that, and he kind of played sports games, some Need for Speed. He played Halo, like the campaigns. But he would say the same things to me. He would tell me like, "Hey, you're playing too much." Sometimes it was just to get me to get off so he could play.
Yeah.
But I mean, like it was the same way for me. I played every sport known to man growing up, and I think it's just it's so weird because we're talking about the way we were raised, but like the reason that they did the things that they did is because of the way they were raised. So like when my dad was growing up, you only sat inside playing video games when your parents weren't home. And then when
Mm-hmm.
your parents got home, they kicked you the hell out of the house. And then you went and played baseball or football or rode your bikes around. So it's like we were like in the middle. It's like we kind of did some of that, and we also kind of sat inside and played video games.
Dude.
But now it's like nobody does that. The thing to do is to sit inside and be on video. Well, and we're not even addressing the bigger issue, which is cell phones. It's like games. You're
Yeah.
constantly on your phone,
Hmm.
and your parents are like, "Get the hell off your phone, go outside," or "Get the hell off your phone, do something constructive." Now that argument I could almost agree with more than the video game one, because with video games you can get into, you're talking about critical thinking, decision making, reaction time, making decisions quickly, hand-eye coordination, all of that. And
Hmm.
then on top of that, there's a social aspect to it, talking with your friends, meeting new people, all that. When you're on your phone all the time, you're not really doing anything productive. Hardly ever.
Yeah.
Really, for the most part,
Walk
you're just
around your
wasting
college
time.
campus for 30 minutes and see how many people are sitting next to each other but on their phones, not interacting with each other.
Oh
But I
yeah.
mean, you can say the same thing like back in like the 40s and 50s after World War II. I can guarantee you men were probably just reading the newspaper before they went to work. It's the
I'm
same
I,
thing.
I'm not even addressing it from a social aspect. I don't care if people talk to each other or not, but it's just the fact that like when you're sitting there on Twitter just scrolling, you're doing literally nothing. And like people think that's what video games are, but it's not. You learn so many useful things, and your body,
Yeah.
like your muscles, are picking up useful things. Your thumb is not learning anything useful by scrolling through Twitter, and 9 times out of 10, you're reading things that aren't useful either. Now, like if you're on Twitter going through the Twitter moments, or you're doing like research for like political topics or this or that, you can make arguments there that you're like, oh, like I'm getting input or people's
Yeah.
opinions or news sources. But like I said, 9 times out of 10, you're doing nothing productive. So I'm on board with kicking people off their phones.
Hmm.
But the video game thing is different. And I think with the day and age that we're in now, people are starting to stick up for themselves. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but like for what they believe in and dream in. So like, I mean, if you love video games and you love playing them and you love streaming them and you love making YouTube videos, then you're probably going to do it regardless.
Yeah. So I found an article before we started this episode because of like the benefits of it. And I remember hearing something along the lines of like doctors who played video games before doing surgeries had a way higher success rate with a lot less errors. And so to go off like video games can like help you and instead of just like scrolling on
Do you
Twitter and
have the
stuff like that.
article
I
like
have
right now?
I have the article in front of me. Yeah.
Link it. I want to see it. Link it to me
All
on
right.
Discord so I can
All right.
follow along.
All right. So I'm just going to be doing here I'll DM it to you on Discord that way it doesn't show up in
In the future, we'll try to do this before the episode too.
No,
We're still
it's
learning.
it's fine. It's fine. I'm on. I'm on the second paragraph. So basically, I'm just gonna read the 3 paragraphs because it's actually really interesting. At the Florida Hospital Celebration Health in Kissimmee, Florida, General Surgeon Dr. James Butch Rosser conducted an experiment with 300 surgeons. Prior to performing a simulated lap laparoscopic surgery. See, I am not in the medical field at all. Half of the doctors played a variety of video games, including Super Monkey Ball 2 on the Nintendo Wii and the original Super Monkey Ball on GameCube, for 6 minutes, while the other 150 doctors did not. Those that played video games scored higher in the surgery simulator, resulting in better results for the virtual patients. Now, I know it's obviously they're not going to do this on real people. Why would you do that? That's stupid. But it just makes you think about it.
Well,
And
it's
then,
almost like a warm up for your
yeah,
muscles and your joints.
and
And like,
that's actually in the next paragraphs. Surgeons who played the video games in the past for more than 3 hours per week made 37% fewer errors, were 27% faster, and scored 26% better overall than surgeons who never played video games. It is the error reduction that will have the most significant impact on patient safety. Rosser, who compares the act of surgeon playing a video game before surgery to an athlete warming up to before a game, first published the report of the benefits of video games for physicians in 2003. He preached the virtues of video games ever since. As a result of the study, surgeons the surgeon's lounge in Florida hospital now features a gaming lounge where up to 4 doctors can play or prepare. That's sick. And that's something like that's useful. And they're not even they're playing Super Monkey Ball.
Right, they're
Like,
not even playing like
which I mean,
intent.
it's still super like you have to like in Super Monkey Ball, you have to make sure the monkey in the ball gets to the end point and not falls off the map. So and some of them are tricky, like it goes right, left, right, left, right, left with no wall, so like you can easily fall off. So obviously they have to be very precise in their movements and their thumbs. So it's like, yeah, that's sick. I would, if I'm going into a thing where it's like a microscopic surgery, I want my doctor to play video games before because they're, like you said, warming up. They're preparing. It's
At
like,
the very least, it's at least stimulating their brain to a certain degree. Like, can you imagine? Just think of the way that you feel when you wake up at 7 in the morning to
yeah,
go to
someone's
work
doing
or
that
to
and they're
go to
like,
school.
time to do
And
heart surgery.
yeah, surgeons are doing that. Surgeons wake up and
I'm pretty sure they prepare by, getting stimulated in some way, but I doubt they go in groggy with a cup of coffee in their head saying, all right, Sharon, take this cup of coffee for me. I'm going in. They don't say
right.
that.
No. It's not that bad. But I'm saying like they're humans too. I'm sure they wake up and have great days. Like there's days where I wake up and I feel like $1,000,000, baby.
Mhm.
Like I wake up, I'm wide awake, I'm ready to kill it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have days where they wake up and they're like, God, do not want to go do
Yeah, can I
open heart
call in
surgery
sick? This person needs a heart transplant, but I'm really not feeling it today, so we're calling in sick.
That's
Larry,
actually, I've never thought
Larry
about
can
that,
cover
dude.
me.
I'm nervous now. I never want to
I'm never getting sick again. That's hella funny. Oh my god, I never thought about that. Like, how often does your doctor call in sick? And then when he
It's not even
does,
that, but how often, like, think about, because, like, when you're interacting with the doctor, they're, like, all smiles, and they're like, oh, I hope you feel better. Like, what do you think they do when you close the door? They're like, God damn, I slept
fucking
4 hours
loser.
today." Like, oh, God,
This guy's
dude.
like, this guy again. Nice. Third time this year. How often is he getting sick, But it's like, oh man, that's so funny. Like, God, and it's crazy to think that people think video games aren't good for you. It's like, well, tell the doctors that are getting 37% less errors on their patients.
It's not just doctors either, though. I would guarantee that you can look up if they were able to track it. Like, I know when I rear-ended somebody in my car, if I hadn't have reacted and swerved right off the road, because I like basically my front left headlight hit
Mhm.
their back right bumper.
Yeah.
It was not nearly that bad. Like it broke my headlight and kind of shook their car a little bit.
An
But if I
accident's an
hadn't
accident.
made that split-second decision and that reaction and all that,
You probably
I
would
would
have
have
totaled your car.
probably would have totaled my car, probably would have been seriously injured, may have even injured some of them. And like I'm not saying video games saved my life or anything, but it's like I guarantee I made that decision faster and
Oh
reacted
yeah, yeah,
faster.
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how it is. But it's just like,
Or even sports too. Like I played goalie and I
yeah,
I hadn't played soccer for at least 5 years, maybe 6 or 7. Picked it back up my sophomore year of high school and was on varsity my junior year. And like the reaction times I had for goalie and like blocking the ball and saving it and decision making and all that. Again, I'm not giving full credit to video games. Like I'm athletic and I'm pretty good, but like I guarantee my reaction time was better than most people's because all I did was play video games.
yeah,
Like it applies to a lot more things in life than you actually give it credit for and think about
yeah,
because it has such a bad it has a bad rep. I mean, it's everyone thinks it's just a waste of time.
yeah. So I'm looking at the pros of video games. A person's vision may improve. Obviously, we both see that in games where you have to look far after looking far after playing the game for a little bit. You don't have to stress your eyes as much. It builds social networks, and that's totally true. Like me and you met through a video game, and
Oh,
we're
it's not
like
just
really
me.
good friends.
No,
I mean, there's
there's
a
like
ton of other people. I have friends who I've been playing with since freshman year of high school, and I'm
it's how I was gonna say it's how you keep up with people too. Like the kids that I play Fortnite with were the same kids I graduated with in high school, and I wouldn't talk to
yeah.
them nearly as much. Like I still keep in touch with them and stuff,
Mhm.
but I would not talk to them on a daily basis if I
I
didn't play
wouldn't
video
either.
games with them.
Exactly. It sparks an interest in specific subjects. Like if you like crime games or if you like, you know, action games or
Oh, dude, I love God of War
yeah.
because of its mythology. I
Mhm.
agree with that wholeheartedly. And even what's even more interesting is it could probably spark interest in things that you want to know more about. Like I remember when I played Dante's Inferno in middle school, this was before I had taken Latin and all that, and I had never read the Inferno and like understanding, and I'm not super religious so to understand like all the different layers of hell, like who Virgil was and like who all these characters were and like what was happening. That was so cool to me. And it's like that with a lot of things like BioShock was super interesting because it kind of got into the string theory or like the multi-dimension conspiracy theory, which has a lot of science behind it. That was super interesting. I mean, you can go on and on.
Dude,
Halo,
I don't even
Halo,
remember Dante's
Halo,
Inferno. That's crazy.
dude. Halo actually has an application today. So I watched the Joe Rogan podcast, watched the Elon Musk episode just because I was super interested, right? I watched a lot of the H3 podcast and never had watched Joe Rogan's, watched the Elon Musk episode. And then
Only because you
the
smoked
next,
weed, that's why you watched it.
no, I think Elon Musk is actually super, super interesting, but I wanted to see in what context he smoked pot. So I watched the whole thing. I didn't just skip around.
I'm just kidding.
But so then the next recommended episode was Neil deGrasse Tyson. I was like, oh, I mean, that's just as interesting. And they were talking about Space Force and like if it would actually be useful, like its uses and stuff. Everything Halo is centered upon is the what is it, the UNSC?
I don't
The
know.
it's you're in space fighting aliens. So like obviously that's way beyond like what we're gonna use it for. But like it's an honest like comparison. It's like people want a space force, and Halo is centered around that. I mean, it's kind of a stretch, but you could make the link.
That's yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's kind
So
of crazy. Sports games. I mean, you know how many friends of mine have a very intense sports knowledge just from playing FIFA Ultimate Team,
exactly.
Madden
And
Ultimate
how
Team,
many of them probably started watching the World Cup because of the World Cup mode they
FIFA.
had in
Yeah,
FIFA? So it's another one is it could slow the aging process of the brain, which is true. It's like
because
before my
your
grandpa
brain is
yeah
constantly stimulated.
yeah exactly. So it's like my
Constantly.
grandpa was playing like Sudoku games on the computer or memory games. But I mean
But no,
it just
it makes
helps.
your memory better.
Yeah.
And what's I was laughing because I was thinking of all the times that I've had friends of mine be playing like the brand new Madden on Christmas or like the brand new FIFA, and their grandparents walk in there and go, "Are are you playing that?" And they're
Oh
like,
my
"Yeah."
god, it's so funny. What? Who's playing? Who's playing right now?
Right, and me, I'm playing.
No,
I'm
no,
playing
no,
right now.
no. Are the Giants and Dodgers are playing on Christmas? Why are they playing on Christmas? Like what?
I did.
This
It's
baseball
hilarious.
season's not even in. It's like Grandpa. This is a video
A
game.
video game.
Oh my god! And back in my day, we didn't have video games, and they had Pong when I was 30. You know, but um, this is something that we could have gone back to when you were talking about it. It improves decision making speed.
Oh
It
God.
can
I mean,
up to 25% faster, which is that's a crazy number. 20
yeah.
that's 1/4 faster. 25%. That's like when you get a deal for 25% off, you're snagging that really quick. If
Right.
you're making a decision 25% faster, that's insane. That is
Well,
crazy.
that's
And
what I was
I'm
talking about with
assuming
that car.
I can
Like,
guarantee you it's probably a lot faster for people who are professional gamers,
right. Think about, I
especially if
mean,
they're on Adderall.
looking back at it on that car accident that I had, if say that I'm like the full 25%, if you decrease that number, I'm probably rear ending the hell out of that car in
Yeah,
front of
your
me. And then
airbags are
I'm,
deploying. You're
oh yeah,
screwed. Car's totaled. See you later.
scary to think about. Or like on a more positive, well, not positive, but like that 25% could be the difference between me making the soccer team and me getting cut from the soccer. I mean, it's
Exactly.
passing a test, not passing a test, because those are split second decisions that you're making. Because I mean, your tests are timed, those soccer tryouts are timed. I mean, like those
Yeah.
are high intensive moments. And the other thing too is like even if you have good reaction time and all that, your brain might not be used to making those decisions in a highly stimulated area. So like when you're feeling the pressure of that clock ticking down, whether it be sports or tests, you get that in video games all the time. like Call of Duty, when the clock starts running down, your brain is constantly being stimulated almost at the highest level it can be in a casual sense.
Yeah.
And like comparing that to sports and school and all that, it's like, yeah, even though you're smart and you're a good test taker, you're really good at your brain not be used to making those decisions under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But in video games, you're constantly under pressure. You know, you're always fighting a boss. You're always, the clock's always ticking. You know, it's like talking about this podcast has really made me realize how good video games really are. Actually, like
Yeah.
I've always knew that they were good, and I've always knew that they had benefits. But like just thinking about all the things that I've done in my life, and I haven't even done like that much stuff. I'm just like a normal kid. You know, it's like it's insane to think about.
It's pretty crazy, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I wouldn't go back and say I wish I read more. Hell no. I made too much memories. And the last one, and this is something that I can actually talk about as an experience, is it can replace a vice. I think that vice might be the word. And I'm on a different article, Ryan, so you're not getting this in the surgeon's one.
Right.
But it could be smoking, drinking, eating too much, or other decisions that you make. And video games can cause you to not make those decisions because you're doing something that's, replacing that, not addiction, but replacing that craving, right? So when I wanted to go get COD 4, right? It was $18 at GameStop, and I couldn't get it. I was 18, but I didn't have my license. So my dad had to go get it, which was honestly really embarrassing. And I was talking to the guy, and he's like, "Oh, you're not old enough?" I was like, "Yeah, I just don't have my license or an ID." So my dad had to come in. He's like, "Yeah," and then he asked, he has to do the whole thing. Are you okay with your son playing a game that has violence and blood, gore, and strong language? And he goes, "Better than him smoking pot on the streets." And gives him the money, and we leave. And it's like, it's so
like,
true.
Even if you are of age, like now I'm in college. I've been 21 for almost a year, but like the nights that I stay in, like when Troy was just here this weekend, I spent $60+ at the bar. And like if I had stayed and played video games, that's $60 I'm not spending.
Exactly.
On top of not destroy, like, and not that, I mean, casual drinking or drinking occasionally is not going to destroy your health.
Mm-mm.
But like, I mean, you're just avoiding a night of killing your body, basically. Saving money.
Slowly.
And,
For anybody that drinks, you're slowly.
Sad to say, but it's like with the day and age that we are in, it's like you're avoiding the risk of being out in a bad situation too. Like there was a night where we were at a party and I had left to walk a girl home and my friends got jumped. So it's like if I had been in playing video games, I'm not getting jumped. Or like,
I mean, yeah, you can say that for anything. Oh, if I didn't go to this party, I wouldn't have gotten a car accident. It's like,
right. But it's like, but you can say that as a skeptical freak of life, or you can just be like, well, I was playing video games instead. Thank God for video games, Yeah. Like, yeah, obviously anybody can be like, I'm not saying sit inside your house all the time. Like, I'm just saying like it's the truth. If you look at it in a weird way, it's like if you're inside playing video games, then unless your house collapses or catches on fire,
or you get thrown away in a tornado.
I mean, there's not much that can really happen.
I'm letting you know right now. If I was in Fortnite in a 1v1 situation, there's a tornado outside of my house. You bet your ass I'm getting that win, and I'm going down in the shelter afterwards. And if I lose, I'm going straight into the tornado. I don't care. I will. It's not worth it. Knowing that I got second place and then having to survive a tornado, I might as well just run into the tornado and just end it early. Like, I don't know. I'm just kidding. So to me, it was just kind of funny how my dad was like, it's better than him, smoking pot on the street. And it's so true. It's like he'd rather, and right then I was like, that's my dad. Thank you. But it's like, I mean, it's so true. I'd rather play video games than do some of the stuff that my friends do. And it's just like, yeah, they're having fun going to the bars and stuff, but it's like, that's not my personality. I have really bad social spotlight syndrome, which is like where you think that everyone's watching you no matter, like, and everyone usually has this, like, they don't want to do something because someone's going to watch me. It's like, if everyone is worried about someone watching them, no one's watching them, right? No one's watching you in that sort of sense. And so like that's one of the reasons why I don't go out anyway. It's just, or out a lot is because I just one I don't. It's not me. I like staying inside. I like being indoors.
Right.
But you gotta realize my entire life, dude. I was doing like 3 sports. I was constantly outside. It's like I got time to relax, but I mean, I go outside. I hike and I go to the beach. I live 10 minutes away from it in San Diego, so it's like I take advantage of what I have. But at the same time, I'd rather some days I'd rather stay in and not do anything, and that's something that's a con that I'm reading, and it says like it isolates people from their families. There's a ton of times when I was growing up where my families would be coming over, and I wanted to hang out with them, but at the same time I wanted to just play video games. But maybe that was like my social cue of like I don't feel 100% comfortable being out here with everyone around me. I would like being in a room by myself, just talking to somebody. But I mean, the older I got, the less that happened. But I know from a child standpoint, being around family that you don't see a lot, it's very overwhelming, especially if you are an introvert like myself. So
I
yeah,
think
you would
especially
rather be
like
isolated, and that's totally
especially
fine.
as a little kid that you don't have as much to talk about. Like right now, if I went home and I saw the family that I have that I haven't seen in a while, I'd have a million things to talk about.
Oh yeah,
But like
easily.
as a kid, it's like they always ask you the stuff that you don't want to talk about. Like
Yeah.
as a kid, you hate school. You always
Mm-hmm.
hate school. You hate being there. You hate studying. They always ask you about school. As a kid, relationships are always embarrassing or like something like that you want to keep to yourself for whatever reason. They always ask you about relationships. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more. I think blaming video games for that is not fair because of
No, not at all.
the thing. It's like asking an 11-year-old, "Oh, do you have a new girlfriend?" Like, no one wants to answer
I
that.
don't think
Like,
anyone asked me at 11 if I had a girlfriend, but then again, they
Well,
probably knew my
again, like
rules.
whatever the appropriate age is.
No, yeah, I get what you
I
mean.
don't have
It's just
middle school or
no, yeah,
you know.
I totally get it. It's just to me, it's kind of frustrating how they see that as a bad thing. It's like people are introverts all the time.
Right.
Putting people out there, like throwing
Right.
them into an uncomfortable position, is not going to make them interact. They're going to close themselves into a shell,
Right.
and they're not going to talk. They're going to look awkward, and everyone's going to say, "Well, let's get this person involved." No, we don't want to get involved. We just want to watch you guys, and because we're forced to be out there, and the minute we leave, we feel 100% better. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, to me, I'm not going to force my kid to not play video games. I'm not going to force my kid to play video games. I'm going to figure out what his hobby is and then kind of not live my life around that, because once you become a parent, obviously everything changes. But um I'm going to let them do what they like to do, and I'm not going to tell them no, and not going to say, "Hey, you can't do that," or "You can't spend as much time on that," because it's not something I'm used to, or because it could be detrimental. Because today's day and age, you can go anywhere with anything, except
Yeah.
only a very few things, and one of those few things are your major and minor. Ryan, Latin. I'm totally kidding, but his master's degree is asking, "Would you like fries with that?" That's what I'm saying.
Not my
I'm
masters.
totally
I could.
kidding. You're gonna be
I was just.
fine, but it was just a joke. To me, it's just you know, just let them express themselves. Let them be who they are. Don't judge them for what they like and what their passion is, because we talked about, is reading really worth it? If they enjoy it, I'm going to buy them books. That's just Oh my god, this kid is screaming outside my apartment. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh my god. And it's like it's 9 o'clock. Where are your parents? But um to me, just supporting them, I think that's what any kid wants, is their parents to just support them and love them no matter what they do. And I'm glad that our parents kind of saw that as we got older, and they as when we were children, they obviously are going to try to get us out and be active, because the obesity rate nowadays is insanely high. So it's like they want to avoid that, but I feel like they did it perfectly. We literally, Ryan, we literally grew up in like the perfect time where
Oh,
they
I
wanted us
know.
to go outside, but at the same time they're totally fine with us staying inside
Well,
if we were outside for a long time.
I can't even imagine growing up now because like when I was growing up, the things that I was nervous about, although they were stupid, it's like they just intensify with all this social media and like because I didn't make a Twitter account until I was a sophomore in high school. Now it's like you get to, I would imagine, almost like what, sixth grade, you're probably pressured into making social media accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah, to me,
It's
it's
insane.
just
And like I don't even like, I love social media, but at the same time I hate it. Like there's days where I've thought about just deleting all my social media and just being done with it because it, like I said, it just sucks up so much of your time.
yeah. And I actually was my girlfriend when I first moved down here. I was constantly on my phone because I don't know, just something I was used to doing in Sacramento. And she said you're always on your phone. I was like, yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
dude,
And so
I'm
now I
constantly on
thought
my phone.
about it. And so for like 2 weeks I was doing like the minute I got on Twitter, I got off and did 20 push-ups. Right? So it's like
Oh, punish yourself.
so I made it so or then and then she's like, well, you should just delete the app. I was like, I don't want to do that. That's to me.
Right.
I mean, and I'm saying that because maybe I'm addicted to it, but
No,
I just
see, but
enjoy it.
like
It's something to pass the time. Like I wake up at 6 a.m. and the first thing I do is like obviously
it has good features though too. Like I don't watch the news. I don't
oh yeah, I
read the
don't
news
watch the news, but I also don't
now.
trust
And
Twitter for news either.
no, and I don't rely on Twitter for my news, but I go through the Twitter moments or like whatever it's called, that the moments tab, and that is a very useful thing.
Yeah,
I think at least. But I
especially if there's like
know.
a really big event happening, like a
Oh yeah.
hurricane or like something else that were like the
Or there's
shootings
things
or
that happen that I would have never known about without Twitter
never.
knowing.
I would never.
Never.
But I feel like it can sometimes be it can just I don't know shove it down your throat. It's like it just constantly is just going. It's like stop. Like I don't need to know this. And so
Yeah.
but you can easily just turn it off. But it's like when you don't want to turn it off because you know you're trying to enjoy yourself. You got 5 minutes until the bus comes. What are you gonna do?
Right.
Stand there? No, I'm gonna check Twitter. But I'm not gonna check Twitter if they're constantly shoving me down, shoving information down my throat that I don't want.
Right.
But I get it. It's to me, I would not want to grow up in this day and age. Um, and that's something that we can talk about in the another episode is like social media and gaming, and then like or just in general.
Well, I think yeah. I mean that's a whole another beast because like I mean I touched on it earlier. It's like back in the day, YouTube was used just for fun. It's like
yeah,
you would get on there and just watch montages or tutorial video or this or that. Now there's kids that grow up and they're like, I want to be a YouTuber. It's like,
yeah, and they're like 8
what?
years old making stuff.
Excuse me? Like,
Yeah,
uh,
it's pretty crazy. But I mean, final thoughts, Ryan, of the generation of gamers. You got anything?
I hate them. I hate playing against them. No, no. In all seriousness, I mean it's just tough because if you're listening to this and you are of that generation, you all grow up with these false realities. Like I feel like a lot of people look at these YouTubers and these pro gamers and they're like, I want to do that. That's the best thing in the world. Like they have no problems. They have a lot more problems than you could even imagine and dream of. Um
Yeah, the problem
and
is what game do I play? I'm just totally kidding.
whew,
I,
that's what
I
we should talk
wish.
about in an episode is like the realities of gaming or being a content creator or whatever because whew, but I think it
Yeah.
just takes balance, and that applies to all things in life. It's like find your hobbies, ride them out, but don't let them consume you. You know.
Yeah. I think my final thoughts would be do you. If you enjoy playing video games, balance it, but don't think that just because you play video games and you don't like doing something else doesn't mean you're like a loser or you're lazy. Just balance it to make sure it doesn't consume your entire day and your health. Um if you play sports and you're thinking about dropping a sport to play more video games, do not do that. It is not worth it. If you are pursuing professional gaming, be sure to check out our future episodes that we're going to be talking about because that's something that we can talk about. But if we're trying to pursue that, look at the reality of it, see what you need to do,
Just be smart about
and
it.
then be
Really,
smart about your decision of what
it's
you need to do to be able to like what you have to drop or what you need to
it's
actually do to achieve that status.
being a pro gamer would be about the equivalent of saying that you want to be a pro baseball player or a pro football player. It's like you have to.
I think it's a lot
uh,
harder actually. There's a lot less games to
Oh
go
no,
pro in and a
that's what
lot
I was
less
gonna
teams
say.
to
It's
be
like
on than a
it's
game or
almost
baseball player.
harder. Well, and then you have like little to no support. It's like yeah, with sports you can get scholarships in school and like your parents love that. But it's like with gaming, it's like to do or die basically.
And
So
with
like
gaming, you have to rely on other people being the same exact way you are. Whereas if you want to be a baseball player, you really just focus on yourself.
right,
Or any other athlete, you really just focus on you. You don't have to focus on other people to help you achieve that dream.
yeah.
But I guess the last final thought I would say is just game on. You know, games are going to be here. They're not going away. Enjoy them. Expand your taste buds. I know when you're young, you want to just play one game because all your friends are playing it, but really just expand your taste buds. Play some old games. If you're growing up right now, play some Legends of Zelda, the Legend of Zelda, like the old ones, not the Wii U or the whatever the. I don't even know what's the newest, the Switch version. Don't play that one. Play the old ones. Play the
Well,
2D versions.
play the Switch one because I've heard it's awesome.
I'm
But
talking,
then go
yeah.
back and play the old
No,
one.
you should play the old one, then the new one. See where people had to grow up on. Play Pokemon. Play the original Pokemon. There's a ton of emulators on the PC you can get. You can even on your phone. It's so easy. Um, but really do expand your taste buds because right now I'm realizing that the more older I get, the more I enjoy these single player campaigns back from the day that I wish I played. But I don't have any regrets. And honestly, I think that that's gonna be it. Um, quality of Ryan's mic has, like changed dramatically, and I love it. I don't have to. My ears aren't bleeding now. And his laugh does not annoy me as much. That is fantastic. Um,
What do you think the next topic's gonna be?
I
I
don't
have a
know.
couple ideas. Well, the Call of Duty esports reveal is tomorrow, so that's a
Is it
possibility.
tomorrow? Is it Wednesday? I thought it was Thursday. Is it Wednesday? Oh, it's the 19th.
It's tomorrow.
So tomorrow we
So
find out if it's 5v5. It's gonna be 5v5, but
we
that's another
could
episode.
we could watch it and then talk about that and then turn that into talking about
Esports in general.
esports in general.
I'm down. We'd have to talk about it. Like figure out
Right.
what else we could talk about for esports. But that sounds really interesting. What
Because I'm
else?
probably gonna. I probably won't. I don't know if I'll watch the whole thing depending on how long it is, but because I
I'm gonna
get
be
out
at
of class
work,
well,
so
I get out of class at 2, and then I'll probably get lunch and watch a little bit of it. We'll see.
but esports would be good. I'm trying to think of something else. And that like you got to realize if you're listening to this podcast this late, we're at an hour and 4 minutes. Holy cow! But also, you know, something happens in our life, and we think we need to talk about this now. You know, it's just and it sometimes we'll talk about it and we'll stay the entire time, and sometimes we'll go on a rant about social media or something like that. But this literally happened because I know people and I've heard people tell me like after talking to them like and like they've just had a kid or they're thinking about it, you know, what are they going to do with gaming? Because they're one of them, one of the two people in that relationship is a gamer, like on a hardcore one, and so I'm always curious, and that's why I brought this up. So that's why this episode was about the generation of gamers because we have experience in that. Obviously, this is the Co-op podcast. It's about gaming, baby. But you know, other people may not see it the same way now that they're going to be changing their role from a gamer to a parent. So that's why every episode it's like the theme just randomly comes up. It's not like we go, okay, episode 6 is going to be this theme, 7 is going to be this theme. It's like, all right, this is what the theme's going to be like, and we're going to figure that 2 days out before we actually do it.
We try to keep it current too, I would say. Like
Yeah.
these are definitely things that are happening now. Like battle royales. The reason we did that episode is because obviously every game is coming out with one. This is a very real thing. Like I feel like a lot of kids are, dealing with either really harsh parents or really loose parents or finding that balance or wanting to be professional gamers and like it, I think we try to keep it pretty current.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for the Co-op podcast. We appreciate everyone listening if you still are. Follow us on all of our social medias, including SoundCloud. SoundCloud's being really weird right now, but our YouTube channel is the Co-op Podcast, or the Coop. The SoundCloud is the Coop Podcast, the COOP Podcast. Our Twitter, the Coop Podcast as well. Tweet to us, follow us on Twitter, follow us on, or subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and support us on Patreon if you like what you hear. Patreon.com/the Coop Podcast. The link will be in the description for all of our episodes to support us in different ways that you would like to do that. Ryan, it's been a pleasure as always. Yeah, anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you guys in the next episode.
Unfreaking believable. Perfection. Game over.